Chris Lawrence making his way to the ring. It's the first time I've heard My Old Man's a Dustman as a ring entrance music.
Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is bout number 5.
Chris Lawrence here up against Joe Beeden. Joe Beeden is this is fight number 57 for Joe, I believe. Chris Lawrence, this is his 8th fight. 7 wins he's had, all wins on points. He's got a few names in the past. One of note, Luke Fash. Harvey Hemsley's a good little fighter himself. A little bit of a step up in class for this one. Joe Beeden not got the greatest record. Only 2 wins and 1 draw against 53 losses, but that doesn't give a true reflection of his qualities. He's a good little fighter, is Joe.
7 fights, 7 wins. He weighed in at 9 stone 3 pounds and 4 ounces. He should right here in Maidstone. He is Chris Beeden Lawrence.
Chris Lawrence has just announced he's just round the corner. He lives from this venue. He can literally fall out of his front door straight into the ring. He's got a good crowd behind him here tonight. Sold a lot of tickets, so there should be some atmosphere for this one. Referee Kieran McCann taking both fighters to the centre of the ring, giving them their final instructions before he's sending them back to their corner, ready to get the fight underway.
Round 1.
Steely gaze there from Chris Lawrence as Joe Beeden comes out. I imagine they're both going to take a bit of a look at each other before they go to work. Chris Lawrence in the past has been a little bit guilty of getting carried away and getting a bit gung-ho in his fights, but he's staying composed now as he picks a lovely little left hook, long left hook there that catches Joe Beeden. Joe Beeden ducks his low and Chris Lawrence reads it and takes him with a little right uppercut. Chris Lawrence in the black and blue shorts against Joe Beeden's green trimmed with red. Catches Joe Beeden on the way out there as Joe stands up tall and catches, ships a left hook from Chris Lawrence. Lawrence working his jab. As I say, it's nice to see Lawrence in the past has been a bit guilty of getting carried away and going in just throwing shots willy-nilly, but he's staying composed. I believe he's had a bit of a change in trainer. There's things that have changed up in his training camp and it's showing. He's a lot more composed and he's picking his shots really nicely. Chris there holding the centre of the ring, jabbing Beeden back and taking control of the fight, showing that he believes he's in charge. Trying to put some nice shots together as well. He's really trying to show some of the skills that he's learnt with his new training team. Joe Beeden though, he's not fazed by any of it. He's still there. He's not taken anything of note to make him worry yet. And the thing that Chris Lawrence doesn't want is that Joe Beeden starts getting a little bit of confidence, starts coming to take the fight. He picks a lovely little 1-2 there from Chris Lawrence. This is completely brand new. This is like watching a completely different fighter from what we've seen in the past. It's really good stuff, staying composed, and whereas in the past it seemed like he'd just want to rush in and throw his shots, he's staying composed, countering and picking his shots well. Little left hook there off of the back foot as Joe Beeden tries working his way around Chris Lawrence. Joe Beeden seems happy to take the back foot. Perhaps he's looking for a counter punch off of Chris Lawrence if he makes a mistake, but at the moment Lawrence staying tight, picking his shots well and not giving anything away. Very good performance here. This isn't going to go down as fight of the night. We've already had that. We had a heavyweight contest earlier with Dave Jones versus Dorian Darch, which was an absolute barnstormer. If you look below, on the YouTube feed, you'll see that, and it's definitely worth a watch. Very, very good fight that was. But great to see the composure of Chris Lawrence. As I've said, I don't want to be overcritical of him in the past because he's a good fighter and he's picked up his 7 wins, but this is like watching a new fighter. This really, really good composure there from Chris Lawrence, and showing that he's under the new training regime that he's got. He's learning, he's listening, and he's progressing. Nothing much for your referee, Kieran McCann, to do in that round. Very much just letting the guys get on with it. Nothing nasty, no wild shots. Really composed and cool performance so far from Chris Lawrence. Joe Beeden on the back foot for the most of that one, as the part of his stall falls apart in the corner. They've got it out of the ring and away they go. Joe Beeden keeping that high guard as he sits on the back foot, trying to make Chris Lawrence make some mistakes. Lovely little body shot and a backhand there from Chris Lawrence. Really good shots he's put together there. Chris Lawrence just feeling him out, pushing Joe Beeden back the whole fight. He's really in control here. Nothing spectacular is going on. No great combinations being put together, but really cool, crisp shots. Nice and sharp that he's putting together and catching Joe Beeden really well with those shots. Another little jab, really probing jab, making its way through the guard of Joe Beeden as he fakes to the head and goes down with a shot to the body. Didn't quite catch him with that, but good little move and shows that he's trying things. Joe Beeden drops himself down to the body, goes really low, and Chris Matthews sends a right hand just over the top of his head as he goes in there, trying to go for the body, but Beeden slips himself off the ropes unharmed. Beeden keeping himself composed, keeping himself in a nice tight shell, so he's not shipping too much punishment, but the better work coming from Chris Lawrence. Looks like he's in charge, looks like it's going the way he wants it to go, putting the shots together nicely. Reaching a little bit there, he seems like he might be getting a little bit frustrated. I don't think he needs to do that. I don't think he needs to worry about being frustrated. I think he's winning the rounds just by picking his shots and putting them together nicely and making sure he's doing the cleaner, crisper work. He doesn't need to rush in, doesn't need to come out of that composed stance that he's had for the first part of this fight and get carried away trying to wing shots in. Understandably though, Joe Beeden is not really coming to do much. As I've said, it looks like he's opted to take the back foot and look for counter punches and make sure that he stays in the fight and does just enough to keep it entertaining for people to watch. So it's understandable if Chris does get a little bit frustrated, but as he goes on through his career, he's got to really work on that. It's something he's got to learn, that regardless of how the fight's going, you've got to stick to the plan. As he throws 3 shots together there, really good shots, catching Joe Beeden nice and cleanly as we enter the second round there. But as I say, he's got to learn that regardless of what's going on in the fight, you've got to stick to the game plan. If things are not going quite to plan and you're not having the effect on your opponent that you're trying to have, that's fine. You just stick to the game plan, go back to the corner, listen to what your trainer's got to say. He'll advise you of what's best to do in the next round. I'd like to see Chris Lawrence stay composed, stick to his boxing and win the fight that way, rather than getting carried away trying to take Joe Beeden out of the game. I don't think he needs to do that. I think he's going to win the fight here with the cleaner, crisper boxing. So I don't think he needs to get frustrated and be worried about whether he's going to win the fight or not. I think he's the superior skill set that he's shown in this first 2 rounds is going to be enough to get him the win and get the nod off the referee, Kieran McCann. Be interested in seeing this one if he does come back composed. I imagine his corner men would have told him that he's lost his composure a little bit in that round. Comes out with a lovely jab, a little bit of a wild right, but then he regains composure and throws a lovely little left to the body there, which didn't quite connect on Joe Beeden, but again, showing that he's trying things. Comes in there with a long, like, up jab, or a screw shot, as some may know it. But he's gone back to his boxing. He's gone back to staying composed and not rushing in. He's a little bit looser now. Now he's sort of grown into the fight a little bit. He's a little bit looser, and he's not quite as tight as he was in the first round. And he's staying composed though. That's what I wanted to see in this round. I wanted to see him get back to his boxing as he shipped a left down there from Joe Beeden. That's the danger that Chris Lawrence has got. If he comes in wild, Joe Beeden's a good enough fighter to pick his shots on the way in and nick points on the judges' scorecard. Or the referee's scorecard in this case. Lovely jab there from Chris Lawrence. Really sending the head back of Joe Beeden, showing that he's in control when it comes to jab versus jab. As Beeden works his way around the ring. Oh, lovely little right hand over the top there from Chris Lawrence. Again, Beeden unfazed, but it was a good shot. Again, working behind the jab is Chris Lawrence. Putting on technically a very good performance again. I don't want to be too critical of him, but he did sort of lose his composure a little bit in the second round. But he's regained it in this round, and it's back to the good work from Chris Lawrence. Lovely jab. Joe Beeden catches him on the counter off of that jab, but it was a lovely jab there from Chris Lawrence as he pushes it into the face of Joe Beeden. And again, lovely jab. He's really working that jab really well. Joe Beeden there, trying some of the little tricks he would have learnt along the way to get himself a bit of a rest. Again, lovely work on the jab there from Chris Lawrence. Tries the right hand and then a little left hook over the top. Almost connected, but just caught on the arm there of Beeden. Chris Lawrence, as you may have seen when we've done interviews with him in the past, he's not one for the limelight. He just loves his boxing, and he just wants to be left to get on with it. He's not a great fan of having a camera shoved in his face, but he's a great lad, and someone that is a good friend to all of the boys on the J Sports Network team. Very, very well thought of by everyone, and a really, really good guy. Still in control, I believe, after round 3. Joe Beeden seems to have grown a little bit into the fight, but I don't think he's taken too much away from what Chris Lawrence is doing. I still feel that Chris is in control of the fight with that jab. I think he's working a lot better on there. He's pressing the fight, and he's making sure that Beeden's working.
10 seconds. Seconds out, round 4.
A little bit of adjustment there from Beeden's trainer, Reece Schultz, trying to maintain his dignity. Schultz is just coming down a little bit. Chris Matthews come out a little bit faster in this round, so he's obviously thinking that he needs to start putting the pressure on a little bit. Feels comfortable in there. Like I say, I feel like his superior skill set, the way he's put his shots together has probably won him those first 3 rounds. And now he's ready to go work, but he's got to be careful because he's shipped a left hook there on the way in. Beeden, not known as a puncher, but as always, this is boxing, and it can change with just that one shot. Catches you on the end of the chin or on the back of the head, it can have a big effect on you. Lovely shots there from Chris Lawrence as he sends a right hand to the body, and just as Beeden stands up, he catches him with a left hook. Beeden there catching him with the counter, landed on Chris Lawrence's glove. So not having any effect, but showing that he's still there and he's not going to lay down and give this fight away. Again, Lawrence working behind that jab. The 1-2 there just fell short from Chris Lawrence. Little body shot there from Chris Lawrence as he sends him, finds Joe Beeden caught in the corner. He goes in for the body shot. Just didn't quite connect, didn't have too much of an effect on Beeden, and Beeden claims him and moves off outside the corner, finds himself back into another corner. He's really on the back foot here, Beeden. He's not being pushed back massively. It's more that he's happy to take that back foot and look for the counter punches. Chris Lawrence keeping the pressure on. Good bit of movement there from Joe Beeden as Chris Lawrence was on the way in with a 1-2. Beeden just stepped off to the right and got himself out of the way of trouble. Another little left hook counter on the way in there from Beeden, showing again that he's a good fighter. Beeden. His record doesn't really give him justice. He is a good fighter. Lovely little jab there from Chris Lawrence. Little double jab, just caught him with the second one. Just racking the points up with that one, making sure he stays in charge and stays up on the referee's score. A lovely body shot there. I couldn't see quite whether that landed cleanly or whether it landed on the arm of Beeden, but it was a well picked shot. It was there to take, and he took the opportunity for it. Now Lawrence getting backed up now. Beeden fancies it a little bit, I believe. Getting caught on the ropes is Lawrence, and coming back, and now it's coming to life a little bit, this fight now. They both want it as the bell sounds for the end of round 4. Just come to life a little bit there at the end of that fight, at the end of that round, sorry. It's been a game of chess, this fight. Both fighters taking their time. Neither fighter rushing in too much. Very, very good performance here from Chris Lawrence. Been really impressed with him tonight. Managed to maintain his composure throughout. And something that, as I mentioned in the past, he has been a little bit guilty of being a bit gung-ho, but he's shown great composure tonight and shows that he's listening to the game plan and that what they've been working on, he's taken it in and made the improvements that he needs to make. Very good performance so far.
Seconds out, round 5.
Let's see if they start off where they left off. At the end of that round, it just come to life a bit. Chris has come straight out and poking that jab into the face of Beeden, catches him with a nice little jab there on the way in as Beeden tries to counter. Sends Beeden back a little bit off balance, made it look a lot worse than it was, but catches him with a little 1-2. Very good shots there from Chris Lawrence. Again, this is becoming a bit of a battle of the jabs in this round. Both jabbing away, and for me, Chris is getting his jab off slightly better as he tries an uppercut. Catches Beeden with a nice right hand on the ropes there. That would have caught the eye of the ref, who's going to be judging the fight, as is how it goes in British boxing. Lawrence just biding his time, looking for the opportunities to take the shots. Comes in there with a 1-2, just comes in a little bit wild there with a left hook, finds himself a little bit off balance. Beeden wasn't able to capitalise on that. It's nice to see that Chris isn't just rushing in and really throwing wild shots, as he throws a lovely right hand there, straight down the pipe. Stalking him round the ring. Beeden on the back foot again. Coming a little right hand to the body, lovely left hook up to the top there. Just caught on the hand of Joe Beeden. Didn't have the effect Chris Lawrence would have liked, but again, he's putting the shots together nicely. It'd be nice to see him step up and throw shots in phases. And as he throws a backhand jab on the way, and it's quite an awkward shot to throw, and it showed it was a little bit off balance after he threw the jab. But again, he's trying things. He's in there to learn, and that's what he's doing. It's good to see. Lovely jab he's poking out. His jabs work absolutely beautifully tonight. Is Chris Lawrence's jab. Is again another jab he catches him with there. He's looking for the shots. Beeden catches him on the way in there with a little left hook over top, but Lawrence is looking for the shots. Beeden's just not really giving much away. Beeden's going to be one of the guys that you really have to work for everything you're going to get off him as far as what shots you're going to land. As he throws a little left hook right hand through the centre there, Chris Lawrence. But Joe Beeden's a guy that you have to work out, you have to take him apart, because he's not going to give you anything. You need to move around him, pick shots to the body, pick shots to the head. But Chris Lawrence is still... Oh, lovely right uppercut there from Chris Lawrence. Great shot there, followed up with a little left hook. Little counter off of Joe Beeden, but he would have felt the effects of that shot. And he's on the back foot now, he's on the retreat, so he's definitely felt a little right hand to the body there from Chris Lawrence, putting his shots together nicely now. That was a good bit of skill shown by Chris Lawrence at the end of that round. And again, as was in the last round, the fight come to life a little bit in the last 10 seconds of that round. Good uppercut, really good uppercut there from Chris Lawrence. And then come in with a body shot again, and was clipped slightly with the counter by Beeden, but nothing of any note. Chris Lawrence doing enough there to make sure that the ref can score that round in his favour. This has not been a wildly one-sided contest. Both fighters are in it, both fighters are enjoying it. Neither fighter really taking the other one apart, but for me, Beeden on the back foot and Chris Lawrence pressing the fight and making sure that he's putting the shots together. For me, he's winning him the fight. So one last round, then we're going to see what the judges' scorecards say. Straight back to work. Lovely right hand he threw there. Just fell short. Just clipped the gloves of Beeden. But again, straight back to work. Lawrence stalking him around the ring. Beeden on the back foot. He moves really well, actually, Beeden. He shows that he knows what he's doing. He moves well, stays tucked up, and picks his little counters as and when he can. He's a very good little fighter. As I said before, his record doesn't do him any justice, but as is with this fight, he shows that he can do it. Doesn't necessarily mean that he does do it and that he wants to do it. Seems quite happy to sit on the back foot and pick his little counters, make sure he stays in the fight. Not necessarily win it. There's a lovely little jab there from Chris Lawrence. A little combination that he's put together. Poking that jab out, tries the right hand, falls just short and lands on the shoulder of Beeden, but putting shots together there, showing that he's getting a bit frustrated. It'd be nice to see him up the work right now. I believe he's got the fight in the bag, but as far as the supporters are going, it'd be nice to see Lawrence trying up the work rate and try and make a bit of a spectacle of this last round. He doesn't need to. I believe he's got the win, but as is the past, Chris Lawrence has been a bit of an entertainer in that ring, and tonight it's great to see. Don't get me wrong, it's great to see that he's sticking to his boxing, but he doesn't want to get into a habit of lovely little shots he's putting together there. They both trade as Beeden comes off the ropes. Chris Lawrence puts three shots together there in combination, straight punches. Just fell short with those ones. He's there, he's looking for his jab. Tries a little mover, pushes Beeden back to the ropes, catches him with a little body shot. Beeden comes off, throws a few shots to the body himself. All landed on the arms, had no effect on Chris. Lawrence there working him around the ring. He's following him around the ring a little bit. It'd be nice to see him try and cut the corners of the ring off and make it a little bit harder for Joe Beeden to manoeuvre himself around that ring. But again, I still believe that Lawrence is in charge, and as he throws his jab out, Tries the right hand, a little bit wild, fell well short of Beeden, wasn't in any trouble with that one. They both jabbed together. And that's the end of the fight. It was a very, very good contest. Very composed off of Chris Lawrence. Not his most exciting performance so far, but I'd say probably technically his best. And it's great to see him showing his composure and showing that the things that he's been working on in training are coming out and following him to the ring. For me, the composure of Chris Lawrence and the shots that he picked were giving him the edge in each and every round.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands
Be interested to see how the ref has seen that one. I'd be surprised if it was anything other than a Lawrence victory, but it wasn't clear cut.
Now after 6 hard-fought rounds, your referee scores the contest 59 points to 55 points in favour of, and still undefeated, Chris.
Yeah, I believe rightly so. Chris Lawrence there with his arms raised. 59-55 on the scorecards. As I said, it wasn't clear cut. He's won it there by 4 rounds. You can't argue with that.